It seems like every day AI is getting smarter and smarter. Like, how do we get from those clunky early chatbots to AI that can write screenplays and generate photorealistic images? Well, today we're going deep on exactly that, how training AI actually works, and how those training methods are evolving so quickly. Our guide for this deep dive is Ethan Mollick, and his recent article, Scaling the State of Play in AI. He lays out this fascinating roadmap of how AI has evolved and where it's headed. Are you ready to really understand what's driving the AI revolution? Because we'll uncover some pretty surprising developments along the way, including a hint from Ethan about a completely new way that AI could soon become radically more powerful.
You know, for the longest time, building more powerful AI was all about making them bigger, but there's a new kind of scaling emerging that focuses on how AI processes information, how it thinks.
Okay, now that has my attention. So Ethan starts off by talking about these scaling laws
Yeah.
in AI development. The basic idea was, if you want a smarter AI, you just build a bigger model, feed it more data, give it more parameters to work with, and boom, instant genius, right?
Well, it's more nuanced than that, of course, but that approach was surprisingly effective for a while. Take BloombergGPT, for example. Bloomberg developed this AI specifically for finance, fed it mountains of financial data, and dedicated massive computing power to it. We're talking 200 zettaflops.
Wow, that's almost more zeros than I can imagine. So
No.
Bloomberg GPT must have been like the ultimate financial whiz, right?
You'd think so, right? But get this, GPT-4, which wasn't specifically trained on finance, actually outperformed Bloomberg GPT on many financial tasks, simply because it was a much larger model.
So it's like having this giant brain that can just absorb anything and make connections that even specialists might miss. That's kind of amazing and also a little bit scary at the same time.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Ethan points out that this wasn't a fluke either. Bigger models generally perform better across the board, not just in specific areas. Which brings us to what Ethan calls AI generations. He says we've gone through these leaps in AI capabilities, kind of like stages in a rocket launch. But each generation demands this huge jump in resources, data, computing power, and of course money. We're talking 10 times more of everything just to reach the next level.
Yeah, each generation requires this massive leap forward, and that constant push for bigger and better models has led us to the era of frontier models. These are the most powerful AIs available right now.
Okay, so let me guess. You're going to tell me all about those incredible frontier models.
These are the AIs that are really pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And it's not just one or two. We're seeing this whole new wave of these Gen 2 models emerging.
That's like the all-star team of AI.
Yeah.
So who is first up in this lineup?
Well, we got to start with the one that kind of kicked off this Gen 2 era, GPT-4. I mean, it's almost a household name now. ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot. It's the model behind so many of the tools that people are using every single day.
It's the one that can like write poems and answer your questions. I've even seen it generate these crazy realistic images. It seems like it can do just about anything.
Exactly, and that's what makes GPT-4 so fascinating. It's called multimodal, meaning it's not limited to just text. It can work with images, audio code. It's a true jack-of-all-trades AI.
It really is incredible how far things have come even in the last year or two. Okay, so who is next on our list of AI superstars?
Next up, we've got Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Sonnet is known for its just exceptional ability to process and generate language. So if you need to summarize this massive document or analyze these complex reports, Sonnet is amazing at that.
You know, Ethan even mentioned using Sonnet to get feedback on his writing. I mean, it's kind of wild to think that these AI tools are becoming so essential to the creative process.
Oh, they're totally transforming how we work. All right, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about Google's top contender, Gemini 1.5 Pro. Its key strength is its massive context window.
Okay, now you have to explain what that means, context window.
Basically, it means that Gemini can remember and process this just incredible amount of information all at once. Imagine having a conversation with someone, and they can remember everything you've ever said to them perfectly.
That's a little unnerving in a human, but I mean, pretty impressive for an AI.
Right, and it's not just about memory. Gemini can also search the web. It can even work with video, which puts it right at the forefront of AI development.
Okay, so we've got two more frontier models on our list.
Two more, and these next two are a bit different. They're still incredibly powerful, but they haven't quite mastered all the bells and whistles of those multimodal models like GPT-4.
Interesting. So who are these more specialized contenders?
First, there's Grok 2, which was developed by Elon Musk's xAI. It's gotten a lot of attention for its, well, let's just say interesting sense of humor.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Sometimes a little quirky, even a tad dark.
Definitely a little bit on the darker side, but it makes it more engaging for sure. Grok 2 is also deeply integrated with Twitter, which means it can access and process real-time information from the platform.
Oh, wow. So talk about being in the know. Okay, so who is our final frontier model?
Last but certainly not least, we have Meta's offering. Llama 3.1405B. What sets Llama apart is that it's what's called open weight. So Meta has essentially made its code available for anyone to use and modify.
So they're basically like opening up the AI recipe book
Yeah,
and saying, hey, everybody come on in and experiment.
right.
That's a pretty big deal, right?
Huge. It has major implications for research and development because it allows smaller companies and even individual researchers to work with this cutting-edge AI technology.
That is incredible.
Oh.
But even with all of these amazing Gen 2 models and all the incredible things they can do, Ethan drops this little bombshell. He says there's a whole new way to scale AI that doesn't involve making them bigger at all.
It's this whole thinking revolution that he hints at. So instead of just focusing on how much data you can cram into an AI during training, researchers are starting to unlock the power of inference compute.
That sounds pretty complex. What does that even mean?
It's actually a lot simpler than it sounds. Essentially, it's about getting AI to spend more time thinking about a problem before it actually produces an answer.
So instead of just like cramming more information in, we're kind of teaching AI to use what it already knows more effectively.
Exactly. It's about letting the AI process the information more deeply, explore different approaches, consider various angles before it reaches a conclusion.
It's less about raw information and more about the process of thinking itself. That's fascinating.
And what's even more remarkable is researchers are discovering this whole new scaling law with inference compute. The longer an AI can think about a problem, the better it becomes at solving it.
It's like we're training AI to think deeper, not just wider.
Precisely. And this has the potential to be even more groundbreaking than simply building bigger models.
Yeah.
It could unlock levels of AI intelligence that honestly we haven't even begun to imagine.
Okay, so now we have these two parallel paths, bigger models and deeper thinking. What happens when those two forces combine? Where does AI even go from here? So we've got these AI models that are already incredibly powerful, and now we're also teaching them to think deeper, to really process information like never before. What does that even look like in the real world?
I mean, this is where it gets really exciting. Imagine AI that can design life-saving vaccines, but in a fraction of the time that it takes us now. Or AI that can predict and potentially even help us prevent natural disasters.
Yeah, it's hard to even wrap your head around the possibilities.
Yeah.
But of course, we also have to consider the potential downsides. What happens to jobs, to entire industries, when AI can do the kind of complex thinking work that humans have always done?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Something we need to be thinking about right now. How do we prepare for a future where AI isn't just a tool, but a potential collaborator in a very real sense?
You know, Ethan even touches on this idea of AI agents. These are systems that operate much more independently, making decisions and taking action without constant human guidance.
And that's where things get really interesting. If AI can make decisions that have real-world consequences, how do we ensure that those decisions align with our values?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
It feels like we're on the verge of this whole new era of AI, and these bigger models are one thing.
Yeah.
But this whole idea of inference compute, this deeper thinking ability, that feels like the real game changer to me.
I think so too. It really makes you wonder if AI can think for longer and longer periods to solve these really complex problems. Are we changing how we define intelligence itself?
That's a question I'm going to be thinking about for a long time. So we've journeyed from this era of bigger is better to this new frontier where thinking is the new scaling in AI. We met some of the heavy hitters in the AI world, those incredible Gen 2 models that are already doing things that we never thought possible. But I think the key takeaway here is that the future of AI isn't just about size anymore. It's about depth. It's about complex problem solving. And it's definitely about navigating some pretty big questions about the role of AI in our world, if you're even the least bit curious about AI. And I think it's safe to say we all are these days. I highly recommend checking out Ethan's full article, Scaling, the State of Play in AI. He goes into even greater detail about the models that we talked about and this incredible potential of inference compute